Although MG is Chinese owned, the brand is still very proud that it's British, and the fact that its models are built here on UK shores. And you'd never have guessed it. What with the massive Union flag decal on the roof. And there's plenty of other decals available as well, giving the MG3 a fun, customisable super mini appeal. But it's also very affordable. So as well as the DS3, also think Dacia Sandero when it comes to competition. Now, the MG3 was launched back in 2013, so not that long ago. But has it got what it takes to compete against the best sellers? Let's take a look. First off, a few things I rather like about the interior are these body-coloured trims around the air vents and radio. Certainly make it stand out and pop a bit more. A drastically different approach to that in the larger MG6. These readouts on the climate control dials are also pretty cool as well. A few things I don't like is the fact that, well, this dashboard almost feels like it's one massive piece of plastic just plonked in, a bit like a die-cast model. There's also some cheap materials on the doors, and the steering wheel controls have a really cheap, nasty click to them. Rear visibility isn't great either, thanks to the chunky C-pillars, and I almost feel like MG have tried to rectify this bad rear visibility by giving you huge vanity mirrors. Equipment-wise, you don't really want to go for the entry-level model, instead go for the second trim up, 3-form, as it adds aircon, Bluetooth, DAB digital radio, and remote central lock-in, something of which we take for granted nowadays. The next big jump up is the model that we've got, which is 3-style, and that's the flagship trim. It adds rear parking sensors and cruise control. With 5 doors, access to the back is really easy, and once you're back here, there's absolutely loads of space, plenty of leg and headroom. It's actually more like a hatchback than a super mini. Come around to the back and there's 285 litres of boot space to play around with. Now that's there or thereabouts par for the course, although the Ford Fiesta is 10 litres bigger than it. At lower speeds, refinement is an issue, but that's down to the engine, and I'll come back to that in a moment. At motorway speeds though, it is surprisingly well refined, and you certainly won't be shouting to be heard on your hands-free. The handling capabilities of the MG3 are its best attributes. Thanks to the hydraulically assisted setup, the steering has nice weight to it and is very communicative. Combine this with its little body roll, and you've actually got quite an entertaining little car. The suspension is quite comfortable, but it gets a bit bouncy over any bumps, and I mean any bumps. Now, onto the engine. There's just one petrol unit available, and if I was to say 105 brake horsepower and a 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint time of 10.4 seconds, you'd probably think, okay, yeah, that sounds about right. But this is a 1.5 litre unit, and also those figures I mentioned before don't really translate to real-world driving. And with peak torque coming in at just under 5,000 RPM, the engine needs to be worked really hard, which is why engine refinement ends up being such an issue. In fact, the engine sounds a lot like a 3-cylinder petrol, which, with that said, is exactly what the MG3 needs. A nice nippy little 3-cylinder, possibly with a turbo thrown in for good measure, or at least to keep production costs down, MG might want to just throw a turbo in the current 1.5 litre. At the minute though, CO2 stands at 136 grams per kilometre, and on average you should get around 40 miles per gallon. But when it comes to running costs, that is still a bit behind the curve. It is one of the cheapest super minis on sale though, being miles cheaper than the likes of the DS3, but the Dacia Sandero still undercuts it by about 2.5 grand. When you start to look at affordable super minis, there's certainly a bit of leeway when it comes to finishing touches, but the MG3's lack of engine option is a massive omission, and for many it may be too much to ignore. Yes, it's certainly stylish and it's actually quite fun to drive, but those aspects of a car can take a backseat when the person who's buying it is purely after affordability. But what would you buy if you had 8 or 9 grand? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the inquire button to find out more details about this car, or for any other models visit carkeys.co.uk. And to watch more reviews, click one of the links on screen now.